Hello. You have said that humans don't grow limbs because they don't believe they can. I'm curious as to whether adult humans have grown other things, such as eyes and lungs, which I'm desirous of. And if not, whether we might co-create those so that I may have the benefits of those and prepave the way for others. I'd like to be the first, in other words, if they haven't been done.
Well, when you think of your cellular body and its ability to continue to regenerate,
yes,
then it's not so hard to imagine that your body is regenerating. So let's say that there's something about your body that is diminished cellularly or unhealthy cellularly or even missing cellularly. And yet, when you think about your beginning, have you ever seen the beginning of a human in a petri dish? It's quite a little smear. And yet in there are organs and
all
tissues and
yes.
It's all in there. Isn't that interesting? Mm-hmm. And somehow it has this smear, this future you has the knowledge of becoming. And so you have to know that you have a brilliant cellular body.
And I did it once.
Yeah. So, but you did it when you were general.
Yeah, here we go again.
Well, think about it. Think about it. In other words, you weren't worried about anything when you were that little smear.
No.
You were guided from broader perspective. The cells of your body were getting all of their input from source energy. And so it's logical, isn't it, that once you become a full functioning being, where you're sort of the mental captain of your ship, that as you think thoughts that are resistant in nature, you might hinder the cells and keep them from doing what they would do if the resistance were not there. So we really want you to hear us when we say, it isn't what you need to learn to do. It's what you want to stop doing. In other words, we've said if you stop doing that thing you do that is resistant, then the cells of your body can find another way. We were trying to paint a little bit of a picture of the vibrations of the billions of people that are on the planet and the even more numerous thoughts that they are emanating. And we were wanting to ask you to try to see an aerial view of the way you're mixing with one another. And this powerful, consistent, brilliant, effective, always accurate law of attraction, bringing together the vibrational frequencies for co-creation. So if you can take that image and now imagine all of that within your own physical body, and see your trillions of cells as individual consciousness that are all moving about electronically, building bridges, and realize that there are pathways that have been created in order to form the functioning human body or any body. But the evolution of all species is because even these individual consciousnesses are having individual experiences and are launching rockets. In other words, the cells of your body have vortices too.
Yes.
And the cells of your body, that's what the evolution of the species is. In other words, even the one-celled organism has a perspective that is causing it to ask for improvement as far as its perspective is concerned.
Correct.
So when you accept that every particle of the universe is experiencing this launching of rockets and that there is an improved vortex, there is an improvement that is being reached for, and then you ask yourself, what is the component that, if there is one, would hinder the ease of expansion toward that improved idea? The answer is always the same. It's resistance that is always accompanied by negative emotion. That is the indicator that the energy is not being allowed to flow, but is being resisted in some way. The reason that we presented this to you in this way is because we want to paint a picture to let you know that while your doctors and scientists have examined the human anatomy and do think that they have a reasonable idea of how it functions, they are not thinking about all of the other paths of functionality that are potentially already there. In other words, in the same way that this ship has redundancies, if something doesn't work, they've got a redundancy that will cover it, and if that doesn't work, there's another redundancy that will cover it. In other words, there are all kinds of ways that this ship will keep moving and that you will be floating and that all will be well, even if there is major dysfunction in some way, because they're just looking out for all of that. And your physical apparatus, we can't even begin to describe the effective redundancies that are in place. You have more things in balance, more ways of your body flowing, more ways for your brain to function, more ways for your physical body and the cells of your body and the regeneration of the cells of your body. And if it were not for what you think you have learned from the doctors who examine you as you are, they cut up dead people for God's sake and think that they will come to some understanding of life force. In other words, there is nothing about that science that is going to lead them to the discovery of the regeneration of the organs that you're talking about. But a desire for it, the desire of the organ to continue to be, and an absence of resistance from the captain of the ship would allow it to be. You see what we are getting at?
Absolutely.
So rather than, now, the regeneration of an organ, the growing of a limb and the regeneration of an organ or the recreating of an eyeball, that's pretty specific for someone, for anyone who has been living in a world of reality that just doesn't accept that. In other words, you and Abraham would end up on the crazy person's show, and most of the world would not want to hear this from us. Oprah can't have us on her station for fear we might say something crazy like you create your own reality or that you can regenerate something if you want to. In other words, the world at large, the world at large is not ready to accept it. It's too specific. It's too specific for the general culture. The question is, never mind what the general culture is saying, is it too specific for the likes of you?
Yeah.
Does it generate a feeling of doubt within you? Does it generate a feeling of worry when you say, I want to be the first? That's a little tricky right there. In other words, I want to be the first. I want to be the first. Why don't you just say, I want things to work out for me. Okay. I'd like my body to function as well as it can. I like the idea that I'm a regenerating mechanism. I like knowing that the cells of my body are really intelligent. I love knowing that well-being is the order of my body. I like knowing that I'm tended to by source energy. I like remembering that there are so many things happening in my body that I can't even begin to describe, that no doctor can describe. There's so much happening that is of a high intellectual and God-forced nature. I am tended to in so many ways. It is not difficult for me to accept that more wonderful things can happen to me. I don't care if I'm the first or the second or the third or the 10th or the 20th. I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody. I just love knowing that I have a regenerative body that is understanding its own mechanism, and that there is a source energy that is the holder of the evolution of all of the ideas that all of my trillions of cells have set forth. And it is my intent, my singular intent, to soothe myself thought by thought, subject by subject, relationship by relationship, subject by subject by subject by subject, into a place of feeling good, feeling ease, until I'm flying high on subjects that are important to me. And I believe that by my deliberate generation of joyful thought, that I don't need to have the knowledge of what my cells will do. That in my joyful thought, that's the indication that I need, that I am allowing the cells of my body to be as brilliant as they be, and the source within me to be as knowing as it is. And the combination of all that I am, both physical and non-physical, will result in something wonderful for me. And meanwhile, it feels good just thinking about it, you see.
Done. Thank you. Perfect.
Now you heard all of that, and right now you know it, don't you? You don't doubt that. You know that. And you know it because we spoke it generally. You know it because the larger parts of you know it. And you know it because nothing that we said challenged it. So you know it. You own it.